Spirit bird, she creaks and groans, she knows she has seen this all before. She has seen this all before. She has. Spirit bird, she creaks and groans, she knows she has.
Hey guys, I am in Lake Wanyama. To my right, I can see a hippo yawning, but the water is very shallow, so I'd hear them coming, so I'm not in any immediate danger. I have lived in Africa long enough to know not to turn my back on hippos that are too close. So I want to talk about the Matrix, because I think somehow the language of the Matrix... Wait, let me show you, otherwise you'll all wonder. They are here, quite far away. So, the Matrix. There's a bit of confusion. This is why I always say people always try to seek and find the existence of God within existence. So let's dismantle it and start with talking about it like a matrix, because we all have seen the Matrix movie, we all know the analogy. But let's look at it this way. You've got a computer program. And in that computer program, at the very base level, you have a level called the continuance. And the continuance is how I visualize and have always tried to describe it in this way. Now, the continuance is just a white canvas. It is just a white corridor with no doors. You continually move through it. You can't look down at your own body. You're just passing continuously through a white corridor. That's the continuance. And there is no sound, or there's one sound, and it's a persistent, constant, monotone sound. So there you have. Your visuals is just a white canvas, and you have a monotone sound, and you have no happenings within there. From that fabric of the program of reality is where God begins to build. And this is where I have a few issues with the concept that we are God. People will go on and say, we are God. And I say, great, if you're God, then tell me this. And they don't know the answer because they've found half of the puzzle. And it is half of the puzzle. The continuance indeed is you, and the continuance is God, and God has made the continuance. But beyond the continuance is the workings of God that created the continuance aspect of the Matrix program, or life. Now, the continuance, as you travel through that white corridor with that monotone sound, can begin by breaking up the sound. So instead of a constant drone, you hear a break in the drone. You hear and then somewhere the observer has an anticipation, or at least timing, of the break in the drone that's happening. Then all of a sudden you might see doors begin to appear, but you can't go in them, but you're still passing by white doors. So now there are possibilities, there are opportunities arising within. You see, when God was busy creating our reality, he started with that continuance, with that blank canvas, which is light. And when God started by creating that light, he started to create the opportunities that exist within that light. Now, beyond there is a working of God I won't claim to understand, but I do understand the continuance because I've rewired myself. I've gone backwards within my own development, backwards through my ego, through my subconscious. And when you get all the way back, you enter the continuance. Now, a Hindu will call the continuance the Brahman, which is the zero, not zero, the all that is. But I don't feel that that is the all that is. And that's where I think the mistake comes in. Because when you connect to it, yes, you've gone through and you found the continuance, but then you're saying that that continuance in itself is the entirety of God. And it just manifests out of the fact that God was a broad, flat corridor of continuance. And thus he needed experience, and we sprung up from that experience. I think there's more to it. than that. I think the continuance is not all that is. I think the creator, the architect, as the Matrix would determine, is beyond the continuance. And because we are inside a system whereby all of it stems out, up from this continuance, everything happens. The sound, the noises, opening doors, passing into doors, the introduction of colour, the introduction of more breaks in the sound, the change of sound to start creating music, or the music of nature and life out here. The change of the light, the adaptation of the light to become what is around us. The form of things that allow for beautiful, beautiful animals like this bird who I'm hoping on key is going to fly behind me there. This reality we live in can be dismantled until you arrive at the continuance. But when you arrive there, don't just set yourself at the idea that you are God because you've reached there and you understand that foundation, that building block. Because when you think more deeply on it, when you go more deeply into it, you'll understand that somewhere inside that program, the architect has a door. And we'll never see that door. We'll never embrace that door until the day we leave the continuance. And when we leave the continuance is the day that we finally fall into ourselves and completely dismantle our attachment to this reality. And we go into that white corridor and we fall out the bottom of it and we arrive in the architect's home or in the arms of our loving Mother, Father, Creator. And the experience was needed to allow us to grow, to learn, or just to be, just to experience. All potential, all possibility exists in Mother, Father, Creator. The continuance is Great Spirit. The continuance is the Great Spirit which is attached to Mother, Father, Creator. And when you go into Great Spirit and you understand Great Spirit, you will understand Mother, Father, Creator from this position in this reality. And when you go beyond Great Spirit and you go to Mother, Father, Creator directly, then you can access that via Great Spirit, but the time for you to leave here and go to Mother, Father, Creator, that's a different time altogether. And I know because very recently I nearly died twice. And I was passing through the continuance. I was leaving the nurturing love of Great Spirit and I was passing on to the original source of Mother, Father, Creator. And I felt the change. I felt myself fall into myself to the foundation of continuance and out the other side. And I felt I was just there. Imagine the floor of the continuance, that white corridor is stretchy, and I was just stretching it down, ready to burst through, and I got thrown back into the continuance, and then up through the continuance, into the doors of reality, and through the different sounds, and all of a sudden I was back in my body, which was in pain. Are we God? We are all the sons and daughters of God. And I'll accept nothing less from anybody than to believe that you are. For if you believe in science and the bang started it all, then you are the bang and you should listen to me because I'm the bang banging at you. And if God created it at the beginning, then God created it with the potential and the necessity for you to arise from the expression of it. And thus you're his child. But God, you are not. But his child, you will always be. So your job, fall, dismantle, and pass through the matrix. And when you pass through the matrix and you come all the way down to that white corridor, then you'll begin to understand, because in meditation, if you can arrive back at the continuance, you'll arrive back at healing, you'll arrive back at refreshment and the nourishment, but more importantly, you will arrive at the base foundation of all of our reality, which is the easiest and closest point to receive communications from Mother, Father, Creator. And that's the goal of meditation and awakening and fasting, is to silence all of the expressing sounds, colours and forms that come from that continuance and enter the continuance of its own. And once you're there, you can look out on things like this and you dare not even think a thought, because you know the thought will dull the beauty and the experience of this. And that's when you're awake. That's when you're awake. When you look at this and you're thinking or you're planning, you've got work to do. And if you're looking for an image, the best way my mind can describe it to you at the present moment is that of the white corridor, the continuance. And you're just undoing stuff. You're closing doors, going back through the corridor. You're separating sounds until it's monotone. And then you reach that constant, persistent white. And that is it. That's it. That's the point where you'll meet God. And that's the point where all the saints went, where the Buddha went. That's where Jesus was coming from. And that's the place they call Great Spirit, the Great White Spirit. But beyond the Great White Spirit, beyond Great Spirit, is its father and its mother. And that is the zero, not zero. That is the original source. And for all you're the original source's child, and thus you are a part of God, and thus you could say you are God. Don't fall into the delusion that you are God. God. Because there's too much that you don't understand. There's too much that all of us don't understand to even begin to give ourselves that label. That's my belief. So access the Brahman, the continuance, and be. Be at one. Right. I love you all.